What's up, guys? Welcome back. And today we're going to be again swerving a little bit. Let's do a U-turn and go to another genre, which is certainly not as extreme as the other ones that we mentioned a while ago over the past few weeks. And today we're going to be talking about a band which is from Sweden and it's been around for such a long time. The band is called Tiamat. The leader, the undisputed leader, is Johan Edlund, a very nice guy who is very deep in his lyrics and obviously in his music. They've been around for probably 40 years. I wouldn't say 40 years, but about at least 35 years. They formed around the late 80s. Throughout the 90s they smashed it and then noticed, and they're still around touring and producing albums. But I wanted to focus about on one album, which in particular, and it's called A Deeper Kind of Slumber. So this album was released in 1997. That's the proper full-length first album I've ever listened from Tiamat, sorry. Back in the days we used to say Tiamat. I'm still not 100% sure how you pronounce it, but I'm more prone to pronounce it Tiamat. But let's go back to it. So A Deeper Kind of Slumber, which was produced and released in 1997, and I purchased it, I'm afraid, 10 years after it was released, but I enjoyed it from day one. I always knew Tiamat since perhaps 1998 or 1999. I remember there was a show called Scrang back in the days in Italy, and the channel was TMC2, I guess, and then it was replaced by MTV, but that's something that probably the Italian people remember if they're as old as me, which was around the late 90s, 97, 98, and then around 2000 or 2001 they switched it to MTV. But that's something that I want to share with you guys. So Scrang used to pass those kind of videos, and Tiamat, I remember they were there. I think that the song was some songs of Wild Honey, which is one of their most famous albums, and I believe that was released in 1994. But the first literal song I ever enjoyed from them is a song called Children of the Underworld. Massive, great song. And the album was Skeleton, I think, or Skeleton, which was from 1999. I always give a massive thanks to those mini CDs I used to buy, that they came with the magazine, and the magazine was a Psycho. I've been mentioning it a few times, and now I think that you will remember it. So Psycho was the go-to. Whenever I purchased it, there was always a couple of singles which I was bewitched by, and Children of the Underworld was one of them. I literally loved it. I don't remember what the reason why I didn't purchase the album. Maybe because around that time I was more into black metal, but I remember loving it so much. So there's lots of like the song says, underworld sounds, and I would say lots of influence by Depeche Mode as well, another band which I absolutely love. Obviously they're not metal, but they're definitely related to the dark sounds, and many heavy metal bands have been inspired by them, although it sounds weird, but yes, they have. You can hear lots of Depeche Mode sound into many of the bands I've been mentioning over the past episodes. Cradle Filth, Dimmu Borgir, bands like Paradise Lost, for example, another band we're going to be mentioning, which is a British band. But by the way, A Deeper Kind of Slumber is the album released in 1997, and it's just a great, very, very great, because it's very mellow, deeply atmospheric. There's passages where there's different instruments as well that play the roles, keyboards, piano, instruments like I think there's a sitar as well played in that album. So really, really good. I don't know who plays it, but it really, really fits into the kind of concept of the album. The lyrics are also very philosophical as well, so they refer to lots of Greek mythos. I think the Morpheus is mentioned as well in one of their songs. I believe it's one of the last tracks of the album. Then there's a song which I definitely love, is Horse of Babylon. Massive, great song. The first track, I can't remember, I think it's Phantasma Deluxe or something like that. It's already telling you what the album is all about, and it opens in the best way possible. That voice, which is a little bit whispered, deep, and full of expression, although at a first glance might sound a little bit too monotone, but it's definitely not. And believe me, it will take you to places which you've never experienced before. You will really have a proper journey with your neurons and go through their places, as well as your places that you form in your brain whenever you listen to it, and you will definitely have a good time. Get a glass of wine or a glass of beer, relax for a bit, take your time. I think it's a quite long album. Every song lasts from 4 minutes to 5 minutes, and I believe there's about 13 to 14 tracks, so it lasts quite a long. Can't remember what's the full length in terms of length. I mean, I don't know how much it is, but it will definitely excite you and evoke in you those places that you probably didn't know that they were within your deepest guttural places. Anyway, so this is the album I wanted to suggest you guys, different from whatever I've always been suggesting you. But again, so this channel is not just for extreme, it's not just for, obviously there's a focus on the extreme metal because that's the genre I've been growing up, and that's the genre which has taken me and possessed me more than anything else. But I, as you know, so I've got lots of eclectic taste, and whenever I pick one album, it doesn't have to be in that kind of realm of either black metal or death metal or whatever it is. And actually, I always mention labels, I know, but just to let you know what I'm talking about. I'm not a real fan of labels because I think they're a little bit too restrictive, because every band has got their own peculiarity, their own character, persona, and they're singular, so unique. So whenever I'm suggesting you some band, I always mention that kind of genre, but just because I want you to know what I'm talking about. And if you want to pick something, I'm afraid there's always a little bit of labeling, because this is the way the world is structured. But I'll try to label as least as possible. Although, if I have to say something about Tiamat, I would probably classify them as being gothic, but gothic is really, really diminishing if I say that. So you listen to it and then you will define your taste. And if you're somebody who really likes to emerge yourself into different words and realities, parallel stuff, just go for it and it will definitely not disappoint you. It's really, as I said, deep, and the depth is to the point that it becomes a little bit psychedelic as well, because whenever it mesmerizes you and you get into it so much, then at some point you will realize that your world has become intertwined with their world and something else, and meshes with the energy that that album creates and the environment that, you know, it's one of those albums that song by song is strictly connected to each other, and you will definitely be into it completely. Your being will be devoured by this magnificent piece of art. I can't remember whether it was a hit or not back in the days. I don't really have the figures, but I'm sure that it was a big success, especially in the niche of the alternative type of music that we always focus on. So the band many times was playing along black metal bands, for example, and either they were supporting them or they were the headliners. And sometimes, you know, those teenagers who wanted to hear just noise and blasphemous stuff, and there were sometimes how can I say, there were like riots sometimes when Tiamat were playing, especially if they were playing along bands which were a little bit more aggressive or faster, and you know, the actual black metal that we are all used to it. So, and sometimes those teenagers used to complain about that, and sadly many times the concerts ended up in somebody getting hurt. Fortunately, none of the bands have been getting hurt, but this is what I gather from listening to interviews by Johan Edlund back in the days. So Guy, I remember there was another single that you know, one of those like best of something, like the best of metal, the best of gothic music or something like that. You know, in the catalogs back in the day, sometimes they used to put together different singles of different bands, and then one of them was featuring one of Tiamat's songs, and that was Gaia, a song which I definitely loved straight away as soon as I listened to it. Obviously, it's not band that you can it's not that straightforward, so you wouldn't be probably used to it straight away when you listen to it. So it will take probably a few days, few listening before you get into that kind of world, especially if you're not used to these kind of sounds. It can take a while because, as I say, they're complex. There's lots of different roles and characters, and the instruments are not very easy to access sometimes because it's very various, I should say. So the music varies lots of times. With the introduction of different instruments, then you might not use, your ears might not be used to those kind of sounds, but you will 100% love it if you're one of those people who, and I'm sure you are, if you're in this channel, definitely you will be appreciating it. And then you will definitely let me know and comment down below how you felt when you listened to this excellent, brilliant work by Tiamat, a Swedish band which have always been around for such a long time, and they are still smashing it. I'm not familiar with the latest albums that they've recorded. I'm sure they've been producing lots of albums from 10 years onwards, from 10 years onwards, and from 10 years ago onwards, but I'm not familiar with the latest releases, so I need to educate myself a little bit more. But I definitely know a deeper kind of slumber. That's why I'm talking about it today, and I really hope that you're going to enjoy it. And I can't stress enough how important this album has been for me throughout the years, The only regret is that I didn't purchase it when it was released, because I could have enjoyed it for a little bit longer, but it doesn't matter, you know. The important is that I came across this masterpiece, this proper hit, and I, throughout the years, I've been enjoying it so much, and I will still enjoy it for the years to come. Although I want to get more into Tiamat, and I will be listening to other stuff, because in general, in total, I think I know a couple of albums, 3, no more than that. But I know lots of other singles, but I don't really know, and I can't really relate them to which album they are from, because I don't have the proper knowledge of their whole career. But slowly, I've got time, I will get into it. And obviously, guys, if you wanna share and suggest me some more from Tiamat, I will be free and open to obviously appreciate them as much as I can, and then we'll share our opinion on what we think about the album or the other albums, and how they compare to each other, and what the evolution in the sound is, what they were inspired by, and so forth. Okay, if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button down below. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.